Okay, thanks, Megan. So today I want to spend 3 minutes with you to talk about a not so common geophysical technique that we can use to visualize groundwater. Many of you may have seen this, at least in the movies. And this is MRI, which is widely used in the medical industry. And when I saw this, the hydrogeologist within me asked a very nerdy question. Can we use this to scan for groundwater? And the answer is yes, we can. This technique has got a slightly different name called nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR. And there are two types. The first type is the surface NMR, where you put cables on the ground surface to do measurements. And it is great because you don't need to have a drill hole. The second type is the borehole NMR, which is also great because it can give much better data quality and resolution compared to the surface NMR. So each of them has pros and cons. And how does NMR work? Let's use the borehole NMR as an example. Let's say this is our study area, and here is a borehole. And for simplicity, let's just consider one water proton. The first step of NMR is to create a magnetic field. And this will cause the water proton's spinning orientation to change. And the second step is to create a perpendicular magnetic field. And again, this will cause the water proton to change its orientation again. And the third step, we switch this off. And now the water proton will revert back to its previous state. And during this process, we can measure the decay in signal, and then we repeat this process a number of times to complete the sounding. So what can NMR tell us? Why is it so useful? Let's have a look at the results. In the plot here, the y-axis is depth, and the x-axis can be understood as pore size. And for example, what this plot is showing us is that at about 10-meter depth, the aquifer is dominated by relatively large pores. And this kind of information can be useful to help us to better understand the lithology. The second plot shows us the water content. And the petroleum industry people have developed methods to further classify this into water that can move freely, the blue in the plot, and water that is trapped in very small isolated pores, the orange. And in the saturated zone where all the pores are fully saturated with water, this plot can also tell us about porosity. And obviously, this plot can also tell us about or help us to estimate the depth to water table. And the last plot, which I find the most exciting, is that NMR can tell us about hydraulic conductivity. If you have got aquifer test data, you can calibrate this plot and then use the result values directly. If you don't have aquifer test data, this plot is still useful in that it can be used in a relative sense. So this is what NMR can do for you. And I think this is about it for 3 minutes. And lastly, I would like to thank these people for their contributions. Thank you.